School playground equipment in the year 1900. Apparently in 1900, only the strong survived recess. You got the one kid falling in the background there. Wasn't quite like this in the 1980s, but wasn't too far away. Images that make you feel nostalgia. Yep, had some pretty high scores on that game. Me in 1999. These graphics can't get any more realistic. The graphics. Heck, the graphics on the old arcades was a lot better. 90s kids know this baseball field. This was considered advanced technology in 1995. I actually still have one of these. Our car still has a cassette player in it. Your grandma really saw this couch in the 70s and was like, yo. Yeah, I never understood why these style of couches got so popular for. They're almost as popular as the wood paneling. How we used to check out books. Yeah, and that book is a perfect example to use for this. When these came out, I thought I was living in the year 3000. I think we can conclude that the time out generation didn't produce as good a citizens as the beating generation. Yep, absolutely right. Reminds me of a song by a guy named Buddy Brown. If you like country music, look him up here on YouTube. One of the songs he has is titled Kids That Never Got Spanked. Pretty good song, actually. Got a lot of truth in it. If you count your money when it comes out of the ATM machine, you officially don't trust a thing. Nope, sure don't. Especially these days. TVs with the loud buzzing sounds and the static they made. Also good commercials that were funny and not garbage like the new ones. I remember when I could walk in the house and I could hear that the TV was on, even when the volume was muted. A handwritten list of phone numbers. Yeah, you always had a phone number and address book always sitting next to the phone. And then later on, they went to like the Rolodex style, so you had a card for each person. That way you didn't have to redo the entire list every time you marked out a bunch of people. Albums and perusing record stores. The posters, album artwork, and incense smell were something else. Some people are walking around who are still it from recess 20 years ago and don't even know it. I found this in the depths of your memories. This looks like a pretty nice and safer one with all the walls they got up there than I ever remember playing on. The freedom that came with your parents not really knowing where you were was awesome. We just rode our bikes all without being tethered to a cell phone. Kids playing outside unsupervised. Long distance phone charges in the US. It used to be very expensive, but now it's often free or trivially cheap. Back in the 80s and 90s, roommate friendships were wrecked over long distance bills. Yep, this is true. I was just talking the other day and was wondering if they still charge for long distance on landline phones these days. I loved waiting for the mail to see if you had a card or a letter. Yeah, now all you get is junk mail mostly. Sometimes a few bills, but most of them are paperless now. Who used these glasses? Yep, I did. I don't know if I ever got the whole set, but I had several of them. This is sad, but it gives you a much better perspective of what the real rate of inflation is. This is the history of a house and property of the different times that it was sold. Being a millennial captured in one photo. 9/24/1999. Sold. 162,000. 9/20/2023. Listed for sale. 1.4 million. McDonald's released these Fraggle Rock toys. Do you remember them? There was a high standard in journalism. Striving for facts and objectivity was required. We had a limited number of channels on TV, so all three broadcast news programs chose and reported pretty much the same news stories with identical, essential facts. Opinions of political parties over bills and whatnot were reported, not critiqued. Well, I don't really agree with some of that. Even today, not only the national news, but very often even the local news will report identical stories, and sometimes word for word. There's a reason for that. I miss the early internet in the mid-1990s when there weren't all these ads. That's true. You can't do anything these days without advertisements. I don't know who this man is, but I do know that his wife was out of town for the weekend. My mom getting asked if she wanted a smoking or non-smoking section when we would go out to eat. Spoiler, she always chose the smoking section. I can understand why they got rid of this. I mean, I never smoked inside my house for the same reason. We did have a local restaurant until it closed just a couple years ago. I did have a smoking section. Not being able to reach someone on the phone and being okay with no one answering. People now expect you to be accessible at all times. Only OGs used to have these on their ceiling in their room. The original auto-tune. That's one way of putting it. Writing a check for the cashier and the carbon paper. Feel old now? Same thing with the original debit cards and credit cards. You take your card and put it on a machine and slide that thing over to make a carbon copy of it. Long before they had the magnetic swipe on the cards. The ability to pay attention. I was a really big reader, and I find the always available social media has made reading a lot harder. In general, I cannot pay attention to hobbies or activities in the same way. Again, I think a lot of this has to do with the constant feed of stimuli that's always at our fingertips at all times. Once again, we come back to another one about the public payphones. All the kids now wanting an iPhone 15. When I was a kid, I got this. The newer generation will never know the feeling of slamming a phone down when someone pissed you off on a call. Then to slamming it down 2 or 3 more times for good measure. Hitting a button on a touchscreen to hang up on someone's stupidity just doesn't give the same satisfaction. Playgrounds made of steel, wood, and gravel. Now this was more like the playgrounds that I was used to. Pre-9/11 airports. I can definitely understand this for a good number of reasons, obviously. Especially for people that travel a lot, though. I've only been on a plane twice in my life, and that's because it was a round trip. And I don't feel any need to ever have to get on one again. Red Dawn. The original movie. Like a lot of the other old movies and books, we may be seeing this come to pass soon. So who knows what these are? Where I found this post, I seen some pretty funny answers, actually. There was one guy that thought these were some sort of ancient glow stick. How many people know what this McDonald's collector item is? Apparently McDonald's made these in a bunch of different designs. The original Lincoln Logs. Real wood lodge, made in the USA. I don't know if Lincoln Logs is even still around, let alone if they're made from wood in the US. The younger generation will never know the anticipation of waking up, seeing snow on the ground, turning on the radio, and waiting for the announcer to say whether your school will be closed. The announcer would have a list and would be reading it aloud, and you'd wait for him to get to your school. Almost there, here it comes, then, yes, school is closed for the day. And then, you'd usually spend the day one of 2 ways. If you were inside, you'd probably eating s'mores and roasting marshmallows over the fireplace. Or if you didn't have that, a gas-top stove worked pretty good. Or you spent the day outside in snowball fights and building snowmen and snow forts. Only real ones remember these. And one was always not working. For some reason, that was true. I miss the discovery of things like secrets and cheat codes for video games. I remember when Super Mario Bros. 3, a babysitter showed me and my sister how to find one of the warp whistles. Then I learned about another one from a cousin. You couldn't just look it up. Someone had to find out from someone in a big game of telephone. And you had to learn about it. Yeah, these days, if you want to find all the secrets and stuff, somebody's got a YouTube video or some tutorial about how to do all of it. These are the most popular outdoor toys ever made. And you go around spending like a half an hour trying to find the perfect one. Stereos weighed a lot back in the day for sure, but they sounded fantastic. People today think earbuds are high fidelity sound. Yep, that's true. I remember my stereo had 2 big speakers about 3.5 feet tall. Plus I ended up having an additional subwoofer later. I'm this old. And here we see another version of the McDonald's ashtray. I've seen some that were pretty extravagant. Colored dyed toilet paper. How many of you guys remember this? Because this is something I don't remember. The excitement of watching a TV show with your friends at a certain time. And if you missed it, you missed it. Yeah, if you missed a show, your only hope was if eventually you'd get to see it when they was playing some reruns. From our Vietnam trip, our guide popped out of a VC tunnel to jokingly scare the vets. Dad yelled at him for 10 minutes. There's only a few people that will get this reference. Put it down in the comments if you know what this is referring to. What were these for, and why are they so familiar? I have to agree with this. What were these for, and why are they so familiar? Because I can't remember what in the world they went to. I'm pretty sure it was some kind of game, but I cannot remember what it was. The flavor of the wooden spoon haunts me to this day. Yeah, I can't remember what the ice cream tastes like, but you never forget the taste of the wooden spoon. Writing letters. That's something that basically nobody does these days, especially with the price of stamps. You've got mail. Back in the day when AOL was pretty much the only email you could get. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe. I got more videos in the works, but if you haven't seen some of the other series that's on the channel, you might check them out. There's over 70 videos on the channel now, and I think there's a little something for everyone. If you guys have memes, links, news articles, photos, or other things you'd like to share, just send them to the email address that's down in the video description. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Stay safe and have a great day.